Welcome back to the UpVote channel. What are some recent scientific breakthroughs or discoveries that aren't getting enough attention? You can now do an entire hour's worth of MRI scan within 70 seconds because of Swedish researchers who did some coding magic. It'll be super exciting to see this thing roll out across the world in the coming years. Edit to add the article in Swedish. As someone who spent about 90 minutes in an MRI this year, this would be great. I don't mind the tight spaces, but they do get very warm. Earlier this month, scientists were able to successfully weld glass and metal together using ultra-fast, on the order of picoseconds, which are such a short unit of time that compared to it, a full second might as well be 30,000 years. Laser pulses. This hasn't been successfully done before due to the very different thermal properties of glass and metal. This is actually a pretty big breakthrough in manufacturing and could lead to stronger yet lighter materials. I am excited as someone who flies planes. There could be super cool windows and spacecraft with this technology. Pretty recently they started doing tests for an extremely mobile skin grafting machine. It uses a kind of hydrogel out of the patient's own skin and scans the area of the burn, then just prints out the skin. Archaeologists have uncovered a site that was formed within minutes of the time the Chicxulub comet hit, proving that it really happened, pretty much as expected, and slaughtered millions of animals immediately through both fire and debris from the sky and an enormous tsunami that ripped through the North American inland sea. This is probably going to remain the find of the 21st century. That's how amazing it is. Paleontologists, actually. Microfragmentation, the scientific creation of coral, take up to 25 to 30 years, done in 3 years, helping the ocean and planet survive. The warehouse attached to my property is heavily invested in this. It's really cool seeing the coral laid out under the huge specialist lights they have in there. Very futuristic industrial vibe. Schizophrenia may start in your bone marrow. One guy got cured of schizophrenia by getting a bone marrow transplant. And another guy got schizophrenia from a bone marrow transplant from his schizophrenic brother. Schizophrenia is stored in the bones. The developers put it in a weird place, 2 more cured from HIV. Holy shit, could we see HIV become a curable disease in our lifetime? That we have figured out how to suck CO2 out of the atmosphere, and now, very recently, how to turn it into solid flakes of carbon again. And not just under highly specific and expensive lab conditions. This process is apparently scalable. We still need to curb emissions, but this does flip the equation quite a bit regarding global warming, allowing us to put some of the toothpaste back into the tube, so to speak. Coupled with wind and solar energy, I predict this will become a major industry by mid-century, and very pure carbon and abundant material. Yes, carbon engineering is running a plant right now that is taking CO2 out of the air and turning it into usable diesel-type fuel. My job came out with a drug that reduces the damage chemotherapy does to the body and helps regenerate blood cells faster, allowing for stronger doses to be administered and treatment schedule to be reduced heavily. This allows doctors to treat cancer more aggressively. Due to this blowing up, I am not part of research. I just work here. For those that dug through my post history, it's not uncommon for people to get degrees but work in different fields. The drug is already on the market. No, coffee doesn't actually cure cancer. It isn't just the bee colonies that are dying, it's all our insects. Recent research and predictions are saying that our insect populations, particularly that of butterflies and moths, are on track to extinction in 100 years due to pesticides and climate change. If our insects continue to decline, we will see a cascade flow into other animals. birds, etc., including our own species. Environmental scientists are saying we're at the beginning of a mass extinction event. Truly terrifying, and very little is leaking to the public via mass media or being mocked as a conspiracy theory. What really winds me up about this is that those who mock climate change scientists and anything related to climate change seem to think that it's some kind of political conspiracy. Either that, or they claim that the climate has always been slowly changing, and that it's just a myth that we're seeing higher levels of it. Climate change is an absolutely devastating issue that's really gonna cause trouble for our futures, and it's only made worse by pseudoscientific conspiracies made to hush any notions of climate change being legitimately based in science. Environmental biologist here. We are not in the beginning of a mass extinction event. We are already in one. Pretty much all water and food we consume contains microplastics. Cool. What does that mean for us? I guess we'll biodegrade more slowly. Göbekli Tepe ruin discovered in Turkey that dates back to 11,000 BCE or further. This throws a massive wrench into our understanding of what people were capable of at that time, and hints at advanced civilizations having likely existed long before we thought they did. It has also only been about 10% excavated. I've actually read some articles over the past few weeks about archaeologists using LiDAR technology to uncover Mayan ruins, and they've found that Mayan civilization was much more extensive than originally assumed. At its height, it's now believed that its population may have numbered near 15 million citizens, and that they engaged in extensive trade with their neighbors to the north and south. These LiDAR scans have revealed evidence of vast cities, farmlands, and roadways. And this was all without any pack animals or wheeled carts. Guardant Health's blood test is more effective and ridiculously quicker at detecting some forms of lung cancer than a conventional, more intrusive tissue biopsy. Not gonna lie, started reading this and thought someone gave Elizabeth some more money for Theranos 2.0. There's a good chance there will be a cure for celiac disease within the next 10 years. There's currently an active and ongoing clinical trial where participants with diagnosed celiac are getting infusions that will ultimately reverse the autoimmune response a person with celiac has when they consume gluten. It's still far from complete, but we are closer than we've ever been to curing celiac disease. The clinical trial is taking place in Cleveland, Ohio. I was asked to be a part of it, but unfortunately I just don't have the extra time. If anybody local wants more information, please message me, and I can get you in contact with one of the researchers. One of the more recent theories in psychiatry gaining popularity, although it was acknowledged decades ago, is the role of inflammation and the immune system in mental illness. There are studies showing that in schizophrenia and other psychotic conditions, inflammation attacks the brain. Some of the damage by inflammation might be irreversible, so the hope is that early intervention could prevent chronic schizophrenia. Trials have been attempted with anti-inflammatories like fish oil, with mixed success. The role of inflammation has been extended to multiple mental illnesses, like depression, with raised inflammatory markers and other evidence being a common finding. Ultimately, mental illness is multifactorial, and the causes are often biological, psychological, and/or social. So we can't reduce something so complex and heterogeneous to just an action by the immune system. But it has gained some excitement in the field because there could be people out there, for example, with schizophrenia for whom one of the primary causes is immune system dysregulation, and researchers are racing to find a prevention. New cancer therapy in development causing not only the cancer but also the metastasis to shrink. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Thanks for the positive response and the gold. I read about it in German, but it's easy to find related articles in English. I think this one explains it quite well. As mentioned, it is still in development, but shows very promising results. It combines two cancer treatment drugs, and because of the combination, the usually hard-to-fight metastasis cells respond much better to it and die. They started with breast cancer, and will eventually research this for other important cancer types. The link. Be sure to write in the comments what you think about it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and watch our other videos.